On February 23rd, fifth day of Tibetan New Year of Wood and Ship, the U.S. State Department hosted the first ever reception to celebrate this auspicious occasion. This reception was attended by over 50 guests that included diplomats, Tibetan Americans, and the State Department officials and others. Hosting this reception is seen as a fulfillment of the long overdue recognition of Tibetan New Year, in particular the Tibetan culture and influence on the American international community. Recognizing this impact, Undersecretary Sarah Sewell, who also works as the U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues, welcomed the guests and participants and thanked for bringing Tibetan food and drinks.
This is the first time that we have done anything here at the department. We do many cultural events, but it is, I think, long overdue that we would recognize Tibetan New Year. We really are very grateful to you all, members of the Tibetan American community, for bringing your drinks, bringing your food, bringing your, are they yaks? What are they? The animals on the table. So please, everyone, it's an incredible festival of edibles, and so I encourage you all to avail yourself of it.
The Tibetan population in the United States steadily increased from 1990s when 1,000 Tibetans immigrated from India and Nepal to United States. Now there are over 10,000 Tibetans that constituted the new Tibetan American community. This number is small in comparison with other immigrant population. However, the influence of the Tibetan community and their culture, according to Special Coordinator, is enormous and effective.
You all as Tibetan Americans are relatively small, some 10,000. But in your influence and in your impact, you are enormous. And you are very much connected with so much of the rest of the world through your opera, through your prayer flags, through your spiritual leader. You have so many ways of reaching out and becoming a really international community, and we're just delighted to be part of many celebrations all around the globe for the new year.
U.S. Congress has recognized Tibet as an occupied land, while the administration officially addressed Tibet as part of China. However, both U.S. administration and legislature recognize the unique Tibetan culture, language, and religion. Dorjee, ex-envoy of Dalai Lama, feels that the celebration of the Tibetan New Year in the State Department complex reflects the U.S. commitment to the preservation of this unique Tibetan culture and traditions.
I have no doubt that this celebration reflects the United States' pronounced policy of preserving the distinctive and unique cultural, linguistic, and religious heritage of the Tibetan people. This also means that the Tibetan culture, which is represented here today, is now very much part of this great American culture.
This Tibetan New Year also kicks in the celebration of 14th Dalai Lama's 80th birth anniversary all over the world. In the spirit of this celebration, a U.S. Special Coordinator took the gathering back to 1942 by reading a letter President Roosevelt wrote to 7-year-old Dalai Lama about the American interest on the land and people of Tibet.
I would like to read to you some words that President Roosevelt wrote to a 7-year-old Dalai Lama in 1942. He wrote, "There are in the United States of America many persons, among them myself, who for a long time have been greatly interested in your land and people." So that was 1942, and I think it's only more true today. And
the hall inside the State Department was decorated with the Tibetan prayer flags, served Tibetan food and drinks, entertained with live performance by the Tibetan artists. This celebration brought back the good memories of Sarah Sewell's visit to the Tibetan settlements in India and Nepal. She shared her experiences of how the Tibetans are warm, gracious, and proud of their culture.
It was less than a year ago that I was visiting the Tibetan settlements in India and Nepal, And there, I don't know how I managed to avoid the chong, but I did eat a lot of Tibetan food. I watched dance performances at the Tibetan Institute for Performing Arts and was able to speak with so many Tibetans, all of whom, as you all know, are extraordinarily warm and gracious and proud of their traditions. And so it's really a wonderful opportunity for us to connect and honor those traditions here today at the State Department. I just can't thank you all enough for joining us in what we hope will become an annual tradition.
It is not only the Tibetan culture, but other culture are also celebrated in the State Department. Now the celebration of Tibetan New Year will be an annual event of State Department, and the Undersecretary, who is the main host of this celebration, took it as a pure pleasure to celebrate the Tibetan, Losar or New Year and culture in an exclusive interview with RFA.
It has been a pure pleasure for us at the State Department to have this occasion to honor Tibetan culture and the vibrant traditions that we see here today, but also to join in celebrating the New Year in this very important way. And so it's really an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.